You know, it's crazy how fast AI is evolving, right?
Yeah.
It seems like every single day there's some new breakthrough or advancement. But here's the thing that always gets me. You build this powerful AI, you train it on all this data, and then what?
Yeah, well, the world keeps changing, right?
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
what good is a super smart AI if it's only smart about stuff that's already old news?
Oh, totally. And that's a huge challenge for folks working with AI. You put all this time and effort into training a model, and then suddenly it's struggling to keep up with new information in situations that it's never seen before.
Right, like you've got this cutting edge AI, and then boom, new data, new trends, everything shifts, and suddenly your AI is playing catch up. It's like training for a marathon and then finding out the finish line has moved.
Yeah, it can be super frustrating for sure and expensive. Think about all the resources that go into collecting and labeling data and then retraining the model every time things change.
It's a constant battle, and that's exactly why I got so excited when I started digging into this concept called test time adaptive optimization, or TAO.
TAO. Yeah, I've been hearing more and more about that.
It's a game changer from Databricks, and in a nutshell, it's all about making AI more adaptable, more able to learn and evolve on the fly.
So instead of your AI being this static thing frozen in time after its initial training, TAO lets it learn and improve in real time as it's making predictions.
And the best part is it doesn't need mountains of new labeled data to do it. It can actually learn from its own experiences and adjust accordingly.
Which is huge. Like you said, that whole data labeling thing can be a massive bottleneck.
So in this deep dive, we're going to unpack all of that. We'll explore what TAO is, exactly how it actually works, why it's such a big deal, and what kinds of real-world impact we can expect to see from it.
This is the kind of stuff that could reshape how we think about AI, so buckle up. It's going to be a fascinating ride.
All right, so let's break this down. What exactly is TAO at its core? What makes it different from traditional AI?
Well, to really grasp the power of TAO, we need to understand the limitations of how AI models have typically been trained.
Like that marathon analogy we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. Exactly. So imagine an AI model that undergoes rigorous training on a massive data set. It learns patterns, relationships, trends, all from this fixed set of information. But once the training is done, the model's knowledge is pretty much set in stone.
Kind of like cramming for a final exam. You might ace the test, but a few months later, if you haven't been actively using that information, it's gone.
You nailed it. And that's where TAO comes in. Instead of this one-time cram session, TAO allows AI to learn and adjust continuously as it interacts with the real world. Think of it as learning by doing.
So as it's making predictions, it's also learning from its own experiences and refining its understanding.
Exactly. Think about an old-school GPS device. It has a set map preloaded, and unless you manually update it, that information stays the same.
Yeah.
If a new road gets built or there's a major traffic jam, your GPS is clueless.
Oh, tell me about it. I've driven down some phantom roads in my time thanks to outdated GPS data.
Right. But now compare that to something like Google Maps. It's constantly getting real-time updates, traffic accidents, construction, road closures, you name it. And it uses that information to dynamically adjust your route, keeping you on the most efficient path.
Okay, so TAO is bringing that Google Maps level of real-time adaptability to AI, making it way more accurate and relevant in a constantly changing world.
Precisely. It's not just about a strong foundation of knowledge, it's about the ability to adapt and evolve over time.
So how does this whole TAO thing actually work? What's happening under the hood that allows for this continuous learning?
There are a few key mechanisms at play. Firstly, TAO sidesteps the traditional reliance on massive amounts of new labeled data for improvement.
Which is a big deal because, as we said before, data labeling is time-consuming, expensive, and just a huge pain in the neck.
Absolutely. But with TAO, the model can actually improve by analyzing its own prediction errors in real time. If it makes a prediction and it's uncertain, or if the actual outcome reveals a mistake, it learns from that discrepancy.
So it's basically like having a built-in self-correction system constantly refining its understanding.
You got it. And the second piece of the puzzle is something called test time compute. When the AI is actively making a prediction, TAO lets it use extra computational resources to double-check its work, essentially.
Like a little internal review process.
Exactly. And if it detects a high degree of uncertainty, it can actually make immediate adjustments to its reasoning process or to its final output.
So it's not just spitting out answers, it's actually evaluating its own confidence levels and making tweaks if needed.
Now, the third key element borrows from the world of reinforcement learning, where an agent learns through trial and error, being rewarded for good actions.
Kind of like training a dog with treats.
Sort of. In TAO, the reward comes from recognizing correct predictions, which reinforces the pathways that led to that success. Conversely, when the model makes an error, it adjusts its internal parameters to avoid making that same mistake again.
So it's this constant cycle of self-reinforcement learning from both its successes and its failures, which sounds a lot like how humans learn.
It really does.
Yeah.
And this is what allows TAO-enabled AI to continually improve over time without waiting for human data scientists to step in and retrain the whole model from scratch.
This is sounding more and more like a game changer. But let's get to the heart of the matter. Why is TAO such a big deal? What are the real-world implications of this technology?
Well, one of the most significant advantages is that it tackles the problem of AI obsolescence head-on. As we talked about before, traditional AI models tend to degrade over time as the data they were trained on becomes less relevant.
That dumb AI trained on old data problem.
Exactly. But with TAO, the AI is constantly learning and adapting even after it's been deployed, which means it stays accurate and relevant for much longer.
So you avoid that whole scenario where you have to constantly retrain your model with new data just to keep it from falling behind.
And that brings us to the second major benefit, the potential for cost savings and faster development cycles. By reducing the reliance on labeled data and retraining, TAO could make advanced AI capabilities way more accessible to a wider range of organizations.
So we could be looking at a future where even smaller companies and startups can leverage cutting-edge AI without breaking the bank.
Now, another huge advantage of TAO is its ability to handle unpredictable situations. Traditional AI models often struggle when confronted with data or scenarios they haven't seen before.
It's like they get thrown off script and they don't know what to do.
But TAO allows the AI to continuously assess its own uncertainty and adjust its approach on the fly, which makes it much more robust and resilient.
So it can basically roll with the punches, adapt to new information, and handle curveballs with way more grace.
Exactly. And when you combine all these benefits, you can start to see the massive potential across a huge range of industries, from finance and healthcare to cybersecurity and e-commerce. Any field that uses AI can benefit from models that are more accurate, efficient, and adaptable.
This is starting to sound like the ultimate AI upgrade. So can you give us some more concrete examples of how TAO could be used in different fields?
Let's take healthcare, for instance. Imagine an AI system that analyzes medical images like X-rays or MRIs to help detect diseases. With TAO, that AI could get smarter over time as it processes more and more scans from diverse patients.
So it wouldn't just rely on the limited data it was initially trained on. It could learn from every new case it encounters.
And that means more accurate diagnoses and potentially even earlier detection of serious conditions. Now let's jump over to finance, specifically fraud detection. With TAO, a fraud detection system could adapt to new scam patterns in near real time without waiting for a lengthy retraining process.
So it's like having a security guard who's constantly learning the latest tricks of the trade, always staying one step ahead of the bad guys.
Now how about cybersecurity? As you know, the landscape of cyber threats is constantly shifting, with hackers coming up with new tactics all the time. A TAO-enabled AI could learn to recognize and counter these new threats as they emerge, providing a much more dynamic and effective defense against cyber attacks.
That sounds like a pretty powerful weapon in the fight against cybercrime. And I'm also curious about the implications for something like e-commerce and personalized recommendations.
Oh, that's a great one. With TAO, recommendation engines on platforms like Amazon or Netflix could become way more responsive to your immediate actions and preferences. Instead of basing suggestions on what you liked a month ago, they could adjust in real time based on what you're browsing or watching right now.
So it's like having a personal shopper who knows exactly what you're in the mood for at any given moment.
It really personalizes the experience and makes those recommendations way more useful.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. As we wrap up this deep dive into TAO, what are the key takeaways you want our listeners to walk away with?
I think the most important thing to remember is that TAO represents a fundamental shift in how we approach AI. It allows AI models to continuously learn and adapt in the real world, which solves a lot of the challenges we've been struggling with for years.
So no more dumb AI trained on old data.
Exactly. We're moving towards AI that's more dynamic, more efficient, and more in sync with how humans actually learn.
It's like we're finally teaching AI how to learn for itself rather than just feeding it information and hoping for the best.
And that has the potential to unlock a whole new wave of innovation and applications across industries.
So as you go about your day, whether you're working in tech or just interacting with AI in your everyday life, Think about the possibilities of AI that can continuously learn and adapt. What could that look like in your field or your personal life? What kind of opportunities or challenges might it bring up? It's definitely something worth pondering as this technology continues to evolve.
Absolutely. This is just the beginning.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of TAO. It's been a fascinating conversation.
My pleasure. Until next time.